Hello, everyone. I'm happy to introduce Corina Oprea, our partner and my guest today on the AgriAlly podcast. She is a apple farmer here in Romania, and together we have started on a journey that is focusing on innovation and inclusion for women and youth in agriculture. So thank you, Corina, so much for being here today and for allowing us to work in your orchard. Please, can you introduce yourself for our audience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, Thea. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to be part of the women that inspire the future you that are passionate about agriculture, about continuing the tradition of maybe your families, or maybe pursuing a new hobby. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm Corina. I'm 38 years old, and I'm very happy to tell you that I grew up here in the orchard, in the apple orchard. And I'm very happy to say that today I chose to move forward and bring a new light into our orchard and transform it from being only an orchard that produces apples, transform it to a place where community gathers, where children learn about apples, and where families come year after year to pick their own apples and to enjoy the time spent here at our place. And I'm very happy to be here and to do that.
That's so amazing. Corina and I have resonated immediately when we met at the Empowering Women in Agri-Food program last year, powered by the European Institute for Technology, EIT Food, where she was my mentor, and she graciously allowed our technology to come into her orchard here, where we are actually filming this today on the 8th of March, International Women's Day, and we're extremely excited to have her as a guest here, as well as our partner at Proon-Tech, where we're supporting orchards and the fruit growers with managing their orchard operations through technology. Corina, thank you so much again for being here. I wanted to ask the first question. What does it mean to you as a woman entrepreneur nowadays and a farmer in terms of opening your gates for innovation?
Well, I think it's normal. I think it's the way that it should be. And growing up here and seeing that we did transform the orchard in the past years, I think this is the natural way to go forward. And although in our 5 hectares of apple culture, we do have both traditional and also up-to-date intensive farming, intensive apple orchards. I think that it's absolutely necessary to move on and use the technology today. Also, Proon-Tech, as this is why we're here, actually, because I do believe that can bring a huge help into the orchards to everyone that has an orchard and that can that wants to move forward to grow apple trees or any kind of fruit tree. But also, I know that you have as well some other ideas that of how the produce of the orchard can be used in order to create other products. So I'm very interested in everything that can bring our orchard to the next level. I'm very interested in making our life easier and definitely using all the available technology in order to keep our traditional orchard and to evolve our new orchards that we're planning. But also very important is to make sure that we keep our old trees as well, but with the best solutions that we have today.
Absolutely. And I'm really in awe of the way that you approached the orchard and such a traditional aspect of it, because as some people may know, orchards are beginning to be more industrialized, so it's the yields are bigger. Yet I'm curious to know more about the ways in which you've seen the orchard managed in the past that made you take this decision to involve innovation more. What were the difficulties that you saw?
Well, as probably many farmers, many apple farmers know that all over the world, at some point, the apple farming was only ensuring the families to go from one year to another to invest the income and just to survive barely. So what I witnessed in the past 30 years was my family putting all their efforts into work in the orchards, having some help, but not always, depending on the year, depending on the season. We did have people that came in to help with all the activities in the orchard, but sometimes we didn't. So that was one of the challenges. Another challenge was to make sure that we have, for example, a tractor that we could use in order to transport the apples, in order to do all the works. That was a big investment 30 years ago, and it's an even bigger one today. So unfortunately, today we cannot afford to buy a new tractor in order to improve our operations, for example. But other things that I've seen in the past years was the fact that we had a huge impact from the weather. So we could not control the weather. We could not foresee what will be the production in the next year, which led to being unable to sign contracts in order to sell the apples to supermarkets, because we cannot make sure that we are able to deliver a certain amount of apples. So these are a few of the things that I've seen in the past years. One of the things that I've seen, but I'm very happy to notice today, is that in the past, until maybe 10, 15 years ago, people were planting only certain kinds of trees. Jonathan, golden, delicious, and a few star crimson or other Romanian kinds. But 10, 15 years ago, since then, people started to adopt new kinds of apples, newer kinds of apples, to bring the orchards up to date with apples like Ida Red, like Granny Smith, for example, Fuji, kinds of apples that are much more resistant and that people enjoy. Why did people do this? Why did farmers do this in the past? Because the buyer, so going to the market, the people that were coming to buy our products, if they did not know the kind of apple, they would not buy it. So today people are more curious, they want to try more, they're more open to new kinds, and they want to explore, which is a very good thing. And I'm happy to see that the farmers adapted and they bring more and more new varieties of apples into their orchards, which is great.
I bet. And is it part of your strategy to integrate newer varieties as well?
Yeah, we already have. So if until 15 years ago we had maybe 5, 6 kinds of varieties of apples in our orchards, today we have over 20, if not 25 apple varieties. And I'm very proud to say that here in the village where we are today, we have an apple research facility where they create new kinds of apples, plums, and as well pears. And they are some of the best apples that I've tried. So we have them in our orchards, and anyone visiting us can try at least 7 of the apple kinds made here in our village in Voinești.
That's amazing. I love hearing about that. It's such a wonderful factor to bring this traditional aspect, as well as knowing that you're contributing to the genetics of the area of orchards and of the actual variety. That's amazing. One of the key aspects that we were focusing on with Proon-Tech is that we are working with variety creators to ensure that every specific variety has its own way of pruning trees correctly. So that's part of our strategy. I'm excited about the journey moving forward, and especially in your region here, which is one of the things that we've actually done today in your orchard. So thank you so much. Because it's the 8th of March, and I'm extremely proud to be here, that you welcomed me in your orchard and in your home. I'm curious about when you decided to be a mentor for EIT Food, and it's where we met. What motivated you to dedicate your time there? Because it can be time consuming to be in a place where startup founders or women who are looking to create innovative products or projects are still trying to find their way. I'm curious what motivated you to be there and to contribute to that.
Well, I can tell you it goes way back in the years, because first of all, when I was little, my father said, although he's a farmer, he said, you need to go away from here, you need to go study, you need to go abroad to see everything that's around you, you need to learn how to develop yourself, and you need to be able to do anything. So I did went abroad. I have been working in the corporate management area for 20 years now. So I'm very passionate about coaching. I'm very passionate about business management. And when I had the opportunity to participate in the EIT Food program, I was, yay, finally I have the opportunity to mentor someone in the agribusiness field, which is something that I really love. And I do believe that there is a huge potential in developing the agricultural area in way more ways than just producing crops. Absolutely. Or producing apples. I do believe that, especially we as women, we are so we have so many ideas, we have so much imagination, and we have so much strength that we can do absolutely anything. And as a result, our case here in 2000, before the pandemic came, I said, look, I will build a bed and breakfast here in the orchard. Everyone around me, including my family, said, oh my God, you're crazy. The pandemic is coming. You're going to lose all this money. I said, no, it's okay. I'm going to do it. 6 years later, we don't only have the B&B booked many months in advance, but we have a hotel in our village that was built 2 years ago. We have 3 other bed and breakfasts that were built. And by today, I think we've had more than 10,000 people in these 5 years that visited both our bed and breakfast and our orchard, pick their own apples, and spread the word. So I definitely believe that we can do much more than we think.
Absolutely. I've seen women go beyond any boundaries of imagination with the projects and the sheer perseverance. And I noticed when we went last year in your orchard, when the kids were here, and I love that you were inspiring this sense of community where people from the region were coming to support in the orchard, and visitors were learning so much about the orchard. They were the kids were so fascinated. I love looking at you and watching you explain to them exactly like every branch and how the tree grows and how it gets to actually create the fruit so that you can harvest it. And I noticed the kids were so fascinated with this. And from working with other startup founders, with farmers in the past, I noticed that one element was really standing out. The fact that, at least in my view, agriculture is an extremely important pillar of the community. Besides the fact that it feeds the world, it actually brings people together and keeps them together. And what I mean by this is, besides the economic factor, besides the business factor, and employing people from the community, inspiring children to have this curiosity that you mentioned earlier about coming into the orchard, interacting with the trees, and with fruit especially, you actually went a step further, and you provided this beautiful environment where they can actually pick their own apples. They can taste the pies that your family makes, and actually provide an experience altogether besides just the farmer aspect. Because when you're a farmer, I believe it's much more than that. You're like a member of the community that actually is has an emotional connection to everybody when you do this.
Yeah, indeed. And one aspect that I think I do bring different into the agribusiness area and into our farm is the fact that I enjoy everything that has to do with the orchard. I'm really happy when I'm here. I'm happy to share my experience. I'm happy to teach the children. I'm happy to have people come in and enjoy the apples and so on. So one thing that can make the difference between today and many years ago is that in the past, people were sometimes they were proud to be farmers, but you could see the sadness in their eyes. You could see that they are extremely tired. And my parents are as well tired, but personally, coming from an area where I used as well my brain, not only my my hands, right? I do not feel tired when I'm working in the orchard. But I feel recharged, I feel happy, and I think this is what makes the difference and what people take home with them is the happiness of being here in the orchard and enjoying everything, which can make the difference when you want to bring your farm one step forward and open it to the public.
Yeah, that's extremely relevant. And it was one of my questions regarding what you're hoping for them to take away. Because when I saw that experience last year here in the orchard, I was seeing all those elements that people can take away from an orchard beyond just the actual apple, the whole history behind it, as you said, like the creation of the genetics of these apples and the apple trees. It's one of the things I'm curious about. When you mentioned the kids that were really curious in your orchard, how would you envision them interacting with the orchard? Well, that nowadays it's super technological for them to be involved, like for example with their smartphones and tablets. And what is the cohesion here between how kids interact with nature and the use of technology?
Well, my bet, to be honest, 5 years ago, my bet was on education. So I never thought that we would just open the gates of the orchard and have people come in and pick the apples however they wanted and leave. So this was never my thought and my intention, but I was very intentional about education. And no matter if we had 50 families that came in a weekend to pick apples, or 10 kids that came to school in order to pick apples, each and every one of the groups, they received information about the orchard, about the area, about our family's history. They received information about how the apple trees grow, how you correctly harvest the apples, um, how they can differentiate the different varieties, and what's the taste, how they can store them afterwards, and so on. And only after that, they would go and pick their own apples in the correct way. So first of all, I think people leave the orchard with um, being awed because they most of them never imagined that you need to put so much work in order to get the apples, right? Yeah. Many of them, including adults, they were I remember they were saying, yeah, but don't apples just grow? You need to do something to them.
Yeah, well, so just for the people, but you know.
So the first thing that they live with is information, education. Secondly, they live with the feeling, with the experience, with the memories that they created here. And definitely they live with the taste of real apples. 99.9 of them, they said, wow, I've never tasted an apple like this, because we are keen on cultivating in the correct way the apples. They are grown and taken care in the correct way, meaning that they are 100% safe for consumption, and they have the best taste that you could get from our varieties. So there are a few things, and I'm very happy when both kids and families come back. They enter the gate and they say, it's okay, I'm going to my apple, to that apple on the left, on the corner, in the corner of the orchard.
The recurring ones, right? They come back next year.
So they remember, and they create their own space where they loved most in the orchard.
I bet it's an amazing experience. I know that I grew up in the countryside, and having that safe space and that you're familiar with is so important. It's absolutely delightful. And I noted one aspect that you said, intentional. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that you can possibly do nowadays, whether you're in technology, agriculture, any other industry segment. I love how you mentioned that you are intentional with whatever you do regarding your business and the way that you apply in the farm and the actual orchard, all the steps involved in the production of apples. And I think this is something to do the similarities between terroir, like the culture of the area, and you said regarding the varieties and the way they are grown, the way they are harvested, and the way they are presented to the consumer.
Yeah,
I love that. It's like having a booklet with the story of the place. I really love it. How do you see digitization supporting farmers nowadays? Because you are connected with the farmer industry, the farmer segment, the ecosystem, and the network. How do you see this currently and moving forward in terms of the appetite for innovation and technology moving forward?
Well, I think in our area here, there are, let's say, 20% of the farmers that can afford, first of all, to access technology. I think there are around 30% that are curious about it, and the other part that they would still stay on the traditional side. But how I would see it, first of all, we already see it when we are talking about all the, let's say, the tractor, the other
machinery.
Yeah, the machinery that we use. That was the first step. Currently, we are very happy to be able to monitor the soil, to see the nutrients, to see the water, the need of water, of nutrients, and to be able to address more spot on the needs in the farm. One other thing, definitely the weather. So being able to foresee when should we use the anti hail system in order to protect the orchard, or how nature goes and comes around in order to make sure that the orchard has all the nutrients that they need. I think last year we did have some example of drones that we could use in order to take care of the orchards and to have the phytosanitary treatments, to apply them with the drones. And what else? Proon-Tech could be and will be for sure a very good example and a very good tool that anyone could use in their own orchards. And I think one of the best way, because we talked about the workforce, that sometimes is, and most of the times it's an issue. I think it's one of the best things that using an app, you can actually trim the trees in the correct way and continue to have the production. So I do see, especially ourselves, embracing the technology. Definitely we'll go step by step. But yeah, I think it can only bring good things as long as you know how to use it and you use it right.
Absolutely. I mean, it's having a tool and using it for the wrong thing is absolutely something counterintuitive. Yet I really love how you wove these together, workforce and technology. And I'm beyond grateful for having our pilot with you and having the perspective of digitizing orchard operations with your support and with our team. It's really something that we're also going to speak about next week in a very international event about how these digital tools can be used to reduce the risk in the orchard and improve decision making for you as well, like the manager of the farm, as well as the people interacting with the trees. Yeah. That's where I'm curious to see if you've experienced, first of all, or seen or noticed the way your workforce interacts and how you envision it moving forward, how you maybe want to optimize it.
Well, definitely. When we talk about people, we talk about a lot, a lot of aspects. So I would say that being able to use technology would definitely bring a lot of efficiency in the farm. Can bring predictability, meaning that we would be able to know that, for instance, in 1 week, using the technology, you could prune so many hectares, right? Yeah. Today, we know that in a week, we could do as much as the workforce would like to. One day, maybe I'm more, I'm happier, I want to work more. The other day, I want to relax a bit, although I'm paid to work, and so on. So it's very difficult to control the cost as well as the time that you would need to dedicate to this activity. So I would say that would bring efficiency, would bring cost control as well, and we'll be able to predict more of we need to what we need to do in the orchard, but as well when we talk about the production. I think we could get to the point where we'd be able to predict the production for the next year. That would help a lot. When we talk about selling the apples, we talk about contracts that we could sign from this year for next year's production, right? We talk about investments that we could do, make this year in order to maybe transform the apples into jams, into juice, into any other products for which we already would have contracts for.
Absolutely. So the processing element would be more would be better facilitated in this situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So how have you interacted with these stakeholders of the ecosystem so far when in your talks with them about processing and about selling the process, like juices, natural juices and jams?
Well, for the past 2 to 3 years, we have encountered more and more openness from the retailers, big or small, and a lot of flexibility, which was not so common in the past 5-10 years. So, for example, last year we had a discussion with the online retailer, and they said, look, you can bring us the quantity that you have until you finish it, and we're happy because we can work with multiple producers, right? So multiple farmers, and I really appreciated that, because for the small farmers, because I consider that 5 hectares is a small farmer, right? Maybe you don't have the quantity to support a large number of supermarkets, but there is openness and there are solutions in order to collaborate, and I was very happy to see this flexibility from them.
I noted one thing that you mentioned about them having multiple suppliers, multiple producers, smallholder farmers.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see this in terms of boosting local economy and the local ecosystem? What would you need actually so that these processors come to you as smallholder farmers more and more?
Mhm. Well, I would say that first of all, they need to find out about us,
Okay.
right? So my goal from the beginning when we created our brand, Crăița Merelor, we wanted to make sure that everyone knows about the brand, that everyone knows that the brand is from here, from Voinești, from Dâmbovița. And I can say that in 6 years since we created the brand, it didn't bring joy and happiness. So it didn't bring benefits only for us, for our farm, but for the entire region. So, for example, 20 years ago, we were the first apple juice producer in the area. And in 1 year, everyone, all our neighbors, all the other farmers in the area were started as well to produce apple juice. Now we have 2 factories that produce apple juice and that can sell large quantities to the supermarkets, for example, by buying the apples from the small farmers and processing them and selling them forward. So I think the first thing is for us to be visible, to have a strong brand, to be honest with what we have in the orchard, what we produce, and of course to make sure that we care about our income as well, because if we become famous and people start, let's say, a negative kind of competition, selling apples with lower and lower prices, this would not bring happiness to anyone, right? So to have healthy competition in terms of prices, but why not to collaborate all together and maybe establish a price all together that would be the right price for all of us. And in this way, people would be happier to take care of the orchards, happier to
Absolutely.
sell their apples and to keep them in a very good shape, right? And everyone will grow in this way. So I would say that there is interest, there is potential, and people are starting to look more and more towards good ways of how to use their orchards and their products.
That goes perfectly in sync with my next question that was focusing on best practices, because what we're looking to do with our orchard operating system, and what I'm looking to do through even our conversation here, because we were speaking about awareness too and about the brand itself, speaking about best practices and involving everyone as in sync. So what I noted was that such an aspect of branding and communication between them, and also going into the supply chain transparency and traceability could also contribute to the security of the food system, because this way, when all the players in this ecosystem are actually part of the chain, how do you feel about technology in your orchard being seen as a way to inspire others, because you've already inspired all the other members of your community to start focusing on their orchards and involving other people and being more outward, so they can bring more customers and more people that are fascinated with agriculture and build that fascination.
Yeah, I would say as you mentioned as well, and as I said earlier, leading by example is the best practice that you could have, not only in terms of bringing new ideas like the kids excursions, like opening the orchards to the public, but also implementing new practices. And by using technology, for example, Proon-Tech, I'm 100% sure that when our community will find out and will see, look, this can make my life easier, definitely they would be interested in adopting other technologies as well. So I would say leading by example is one thing that can inspire the community, also because we're talking about villages. We're talking about villages where you cannot go and train the people. You could not go and say, look, I'm here, I'm gonna offer you a training. Next, you go out the door and you go doing this and that. No, it doesn't work like that. As in sales, you need to be convinced that you really want to do that in order to adopt it. So by leading by example, being first adopters of different technologies, and by showing people as well the results and the impact. This is what would make people adopt it, and the community as well become more interested and want to get involved. And to give you an example, 5 years ago, when we started to receive kids with schools in the orchard in order to pick their own apples, at first there were people that were looking and seeing, what is happening here? Secondly, people were being doubtful. They were thinking, "Oh my God, your orchards are going to be ruined by these children just running around and picking apples and destroying the trees." But then, year after year, what happened is that people understood that it's very important how you organize these activities, and now I think there are at least 10 other farmers that opened their orchards to children excursions. But what we did, and I think for anyone that wants to develop in this kind of area, I would definitely advise you to have very clear and strict rules in terms of how you enter the orchard, what you can do there, and how we take care of the surroundings, right? Of the orchards, of the trees, of the fruits, and everything else. If we do not have very clear rules, then we cannot expect people just to know by default what they would need to do there. So have rules, have education, enjoy what you're doing. Definitely make sure you don't open all your orchards to the public, and be relaxed to know that if something happens in this orchard, I'm fine because there are other 5 where nobody's touching them and I still have my production. So I would say just be conscious and take these decisions that you're 100% okay with them, no matter what happens there. And when you do that, you're definitely relaxed and you're able to take in and enjoy anything that happens. But of course, control the damage, do damage control so it doesn't, you don't get there. So these would be the things that I would advise everyone. And although, for example, maybe you're passionate about farming, and I know many examples of people that say, no, but I just enjoy to have people come to my orchard and learn about them. And my next question is, but are you making any money out of it? Oh, no, I just enjoy people coming. Okay, but in the next few months, you'll be frustrated because you will not have an income in order to continue taking care of that activity. So make sure that you have a business plan as well behind your passion.
Absolutely. It sounds like it's really important, as you said earlier, to be intentional with everything that you do in terms of whether it's the actual growing fruit trees or having those people in your orchard. How do you feel about being the person who is experimenting this and using your orchard as a test bed in this region? For me, working with startups and other players in the ecosystem, I'm really connected to regions throughout the European Union who are doing this. They have this activity, like it's supernatural. Mm-hmm. And for Romania, I have to say that I was a bit skeptical, and that's why I'm really excited to do this moving forward, because you, as you said, you're the first movers, you're the first adopter of this practice. How does that, how do you see that? Because I've honestly was extremely happy to have this openness from you. And with your orchard, as you said, it's a risky aspect, and you have done this collaboration with us, and you're moving forward and doing this anyway. Because without experimentation, how else would you find out?
So first of all, I'm very happy to be your pilot, right? So to answer your question, I'm sure after meeting you, after talking to you, after seeing what you know about and how you plan to use and how you developed your technology, I know that there is nothing that you will do that would uh, affect the trees in that way that would for us to lose our production. So I'm 100%. I know 100% that will not happen. First of all, second of all, we are not doing the pilot on all the orchards. So there is the safety net, and I'm very happy to have 20, 30, 50 apple trees where we can use in order to see how the app works, to see how we can improve it, and to have patience to see the results in the autumn.
Oh yeah.
And third, I'm very happy to be the person, the farmer that would give you a chance in order to make it work. Because I believe that if you're not given a chance, or if you cannot test and improve your results, definitely there is no going forward. So I learned this both in the business environment, but as well on myself. And I mentioned at the beginning that my father was the one that said, go and explore. So this now translates to, let's do this, let's explore, let's test, let's see how things could work. So I'm very happy to be able to give you that chance. And no matter the results, I think it will be a very good collaboration, a very good idea. And maybe who knows what other directions can develop from this first collaboration. So there is no I'm not afraid at all that something can happen and it would destroy the plantation. No, zero. So there you have the chance, and I'm very happy to be part of the program and of your project.
So I am over the moon right now. Beyond this whole context of 8th of March and women supporting women and the communities, it's like really over the moon right now. And I'm seeing the kind of encouragement and trust that you've placed in us and me as a founder in our mission together. And I'm seeing this as your legacy of taking forward a tradition that is highly ingrained in the region and in actually the practice of agriculture. And it's really something that's going to go beyond the tradition and into the future. What would you inspire right now for the women and youth listening to this so they would be open and inspired by agriculture?
Well, personally, I have been inspired by um, farmers around the globe, and I would say, ladies, that um, you can definitely do anything that you wish to do. When it comes to farming, it has 100 other ways of paying you back, except the first thing that you might think, which are products. So you can have a small farm or a small piece of land where you can be creative, where you can be entrepreneurs, where you can support the community, where you can have an income, and where you can enjoy yourselves. Just do it. So don't wait until the perfect time. Don't wait until I will grow older, until I will have kids. No, just do it today, and make sure you're flexible, make sure you enjoy it, and that's it. So just go ahead and do it, and you will definitely inspire other people, other women, and not only. You will definitely see how the community changes around you and supports you. So just go ahead and do it.
I love that. I know that your involvement in this and being here and having this conversation with me today, as well as being my mentor, my partner in this journey. And I know that through the AgriAlly initiative and podcast, we're hoping to have this network of women like yourself who are not only inspiring women and the younger generations, but also being here for them to share those best practices, to share their openness and their lessons. And I'm happy, and I would be even more honored to have you moving forward. And if any of the people from our audience are ever curious to come to you with questions,
Anytime.
and to also, beyond opening the doors to your orchard, you've opened the door to the new generation that is looking toward being inspired by orchards.
Anytime, please contact me from any part of the world. I'm sure that our practices here can inspire you. You can inspire people from other parts of the world, and we are all human. We all want to belong, and definitely agriculture brings us together.
I love that. Thank you so much, Corina.
You're very welcome. Thank you too, and happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.
Thank you for listening and for your support in amplifying women's voices in agriculture STEM.